So long story short, treat a data science project like any project.
And, I'd love to get into maybe some of the more specifics of managing AI projects. I mean, that's something that as a data scientist, I really struggled with. And now as, like someone who leads data teams, something I still struggle with is, how do you scope an AI project? How do you create timelines? How do you create estimations around these things? Because data science, it doesn't fit as neatly into timelines in my mind as like a software engineering project, because the data exploration can, in theory, be infinite, right? In terms of a time frame, there's so many things that can expand beyond scope or beyond expectations. How do you manage those things in a project like that?
So long story short, treat a data science project like any project. That's the best thing I can say here. The reason why is, most of the time a data science project is something that you haven't rolled out yet. So putting a timeline on it is subject to change, subject to being updated, because there will be obstacles along the way that you have to address. The framework that I particularly like, though, is as an organization, you have to figure out what level are you in with AI. Are you just onboarding AI? Is the project about onboarding AI? Is the project about creating a mechanism for discovering or creating algorithms that can be further served downstream to downstream clients? Are you going to focus on the research phase? So to me, a better framework is kind of like estimate your level of AI. So I think there's something that I went through recently, and I can't remember what are the different levels. It was very eye-opening. Once you figure out, so it was like kind of like zero to 4, for example, where 4 is like you're fully vested into AI. So let's say you're at a point where you have a fully developed team of data scientists who are experienced in deploying or even integrating with existing software, et cetera, et cetera. This is where kind of like I'm in right now. To me, as of someone on the business side, I would want to identify what the problem is, then draw the program or write the program for what the solution would be, and then figure out where the technology would come in. The technology, if it's AI based, then with that, you kind of start listing the technical requirements, and for each of these technical requirements, you have a deliverable. These deliverables have to have an ETA and estimated time of arrival. With that, you have to have alignment with your technical team for those deliverables. So what I call the big milestones. Once you've agreed that this is an issue, this is a problem that can be solved by AI, then everybody needs to get on board into the execution plan. No matter what project, you have to have that execution plan. And inside of that execution plan, you have to have your deliverables. And those deliverables have to be kind of like always a phased approach, because you want to select based on impact and effort what you can start working on first and then build on top of that. It's kind of crazy to say that you will take a look at your list of deliverables and work on them all at once. So your deliverables might be able to help you dictate where you focus your attention on. So a deliverable might be, okay, for this one, I will release for this particular use case, because once we release that, we'll understand what it took to get there. We'll understand the core the engineering design of that solution, and then we'll build it around that use case. And then on top of that, we'll scale for the other deliverables or other use cases. And with that, you will have, initial deadlines that will need to be reviewed, because you'll discover some mistakes, you'll discover some obstacles that you need to adjust, et cetera, and then you go from there. So In fact, it's just like any other projects. It's just that it's a project you've never done before. That's the way I look at it.
I really like that. And something that, is part of that is looking at these things as problems, not necessarily data science problems, right? Because exactly. I've seen a couple of very large companies, they kind of go, machine learning is the answer, what's the question? Or like AI is the answer, what's the question? And it's like, look, this isn't an AI question. This is like maybe a design issue, maybe a UI UX thing, maybe it's even just like a high level strategy configuration adjustment, rather than trying to throw AI a sexy solution at it, which frankly, it's becoming more and more often the case that AI is a good solution, but it definitely is not always the solution or even always practical.